Would your daughter want one?
No,
Want some potatoes?
that's what chilling. Huh? Not? All right, so we're gonna start.
Coke, Pepsi, Sprite?
So if you recall, 2 weeks ago, right? 2 weeks ago, we left off with the inyan of tefillin. Okay, so let's go. We're gonna move a little quickly. We spoke about that the tefillin are the signet of the king, the sign of the king, stamps. Okay, what does the king stamp? Stamp is a stamp of approval, right? We said that the stamp, a stamp. If a king, we're going into Purim, right? We know that Haman, how did he get his degree passed? He had to have the stamp of the king, right? When Haman gets overthrown, right? Achashverosh gives to Esther and Mordechai. What does he give them? The signet of the king, the stamp. Why? Because whoever controls the stamp, that's the decree. That's the sign that the king said, yeah, here. If the king says today everyone's going to eat chocolate, so he makes a decree and he's going to stamp it, and that's the decree. You got to follow the decree. How do you know it's the king's decree? Because you see the stamp. So again, so the stamp is what? What is a stamp? A stamp tells us that this decree came from the king. Similarly, when a person puts on tefillin, he's putting on himself the stamp of the king, right? So we said the proof is from shuir2, right? In Perek Chet, in the 8th Perek, right? It says, "Kechotam alibecha, kechotam azro'echa," like a sign, like a signet, stamp that goes on your heart, like a stamp that goes on your arm. Okay, that's from shuir2. What was shuir2 referring to? What was Shlomo Melech explaining in that thing? So we said, based on the Tzemach Tzedek in the Sefer Derech Mitzvotecha, it says like this: that a person puts on tefillin shel yad, right? Why? What's tefillin shel yad? So tefillin shel yad, we said, has to do with what we intake, meaning how we perceive the message that's coming towards us, right? So we said that every message is painted with 7 colors. Right, what are the 7 colors? The 7 colors are the 7 midot, the 7 character traits, the 7 ways by which Hashem paints the picture. We call them ingredients, right? So we said that there's chesed, there's kindness, there's gvura, there's a little bit of strict judgment. You could tiferet, netzach, hod, yisod, right? So you could think about it almost as if you're making a cholent, right? So you're making a cholent, right? So you put a little bit of beans, you put a little bit of spice, you put a little bit of the meat, you put a little bit. Now, if you miss out one of the ingredients, the person who knows cholent will say, "Well, this is not good." Where's that? Right? If a person misses out the meat, oh, no good. Person misses out a little of the sugar, I don't know, whatever, of the pipel, of the spice, peppers. No good. So you need to have everything has to work in sync. That's like you said. If there was too much beans, well, it could be catastrophic to the person's digestive system, right? But if it's too heavy, also could be okay. So these midot have to work perfectly, right? We said the example that imagine a person is painting a picture and he knows colors. He knows exactly which color to put in what position in order to make the picture really come out realistic, right? If he puts too much shadow, no good. If he puts too much white, no good. Too much green, no good. He needs to have all the pictures in sync, and that's why if you go outside, you see Akash Baruch Hu put all the colors in sync. You look outside, you see the trees, and you see the colors. The tree is not too dark. The grass is not too light. Not too dark, not too light. It fits us. It's good. That's why I heard Rav Mansur one time, he said that you look at every artist, he's a copycat. Who's he copy? Copy Akash Baruch Hu. If you look at almost all pictures, what color is the grass? Green. Why did anyone ever make blue grass? Yellow grass. The sun, what color is the sun? Yellow. And all the pictures, the sun is yellow. Why didn't everyone who's painting a picture, you're painting the picture, so make it blue, orange. Why not? Because it's something fits about that color. That color, it feels right to us. If you saw a picture and it had a yellow grass, you say, no, that's not grass. That's not grass. I mean, it looks beautiful. It's not grass. It's got to be green. So there's something about every midah that Akash Baruch Hu, the ingredients that Akash Baruch Hu used in order to create the image that's in front of us, it has to be particular. It has to be exact. If it's too much or too little, no good, right? Okay. So again, we're not going to go too much into it. The last year also, again, like I said before, it's online. So anyone who wants to go review it, it's online. So the tefillin shel yad, we said that's why we wrap seven times, right? 7 times, because that's the 7 ingredients. We're saying, okay, we're going to be intaking. intaking. Okay, so now tonight I want to discuss a lot about the tefillin shel rosh, right? Just as an ending point on the tefillin shel yad, we said that's the way we're intaking. That's the way we're intaking the message, right? We said last week also, right? The four parshiot, right, represent the first two parshiot of Kadesh Likol Bechor and Vayaki V'yacha are the two eyes. Vayaki V'yacha, Shema, and Vayayim Shamoah are the two ears, right? So we said, how do you intake when you're discussing something with somebody, right? Or you're learning a piece of Gemara? What are you going to use to be intaking? Your eyes and your ears. Then Amram asked about the nose. Remember? Nose and the taste. So we said that you don't taste the piece of Gemara, you don't smell it. You see the words and you hear what your Chavruta is. Now, of course, you have to speak, but we'll get into that area in a minute. Okay, so we said tefillin shel yad, you're going to be intaking, right? That's always going to be the first step. The first step is always Hashem puts a situation in front of you, and now it's your job to realize that the situation is from Him. That's step number one. If you don't ever realize that the situation is from Him, we have nothing to talk about. Everything else I'm about to tell you makes no difference. So the first step in being a Yehudi, in being a Jew, saying, wait a minute, what's in front of me? What's in front of me? Who's giving me this situation? Who's putting these particular situations in front of me? Okay? Now that you have the situation in front of you, and you intook it, and you say, wait a minute, this is from God, what's going on here? So now you think about it. Now we get to the tefillin shel rosh. The tefillin shel rosh is all about thought. It's about the mental process behind the intake. You use your eyes and your ears to bring in a message. But what did the message tell you? I don't know. Now, again, part of being a Jew is always to be thinking. It's hard. It's not easy to be a Jew. Because it's easier to turn off the mind. It's easier to run on autopilot. That's what we like to do. Because when you're forced to think about it, you're forced to come to a realization. And sometimes the truth hurts. And sometimes you have to admit that you're wrong. And to do that, it takes a lot from the ego of the person. But a person who is not analyzing it... A person who doesn't analyze, who doesn't look at the situation he's given in life, and he doesn't start thinking about why, the reasons, how is it working, how does it affect my relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu? He doesn't do that. So what's left? So what does he leave? He leaves the situation just sitting there, just hanging in front of him. He didn't take it. He intook it. He realized it's from God. Okay, great. You know, a lot of times you have a person who says, I have emunah pshuta. I have simple faith. Everything's from God. But if you asked him, did you open a Gemara? Did you open a Sefer Musar? Did you open a Halakha? No. I have emunah pshuta. How can you have emunah pshuta if you don't even have a relationship? Right? We said many times before that God speaks through the books. This is God speaking to us. There's no one-way relationship. One-way relationship doesn't work in life. If it doesn't work in the physical world, that's because God made it not work. One-way relationship is a formula for disaster. It's catastrophic. If you see a person in a one-way relationship, it's a slave. It's not. It has nothing to do with. So a person says, "Aren't we supposed to be slaves? Doesn't it say that we're slaves to God?" So the truth of the matter is, it's not. Again, I want to clarify this because it's a fundamental principle in Judaism. We say that we are slaves and we say that we are sons of God, right? Imka avadim, imka banim, right? We say it on every Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. We're coming to Hashem like avadim. We're coming to HaKadosh Baruch Hu like sons. So we said many times before, and again, this is rooted in the soul, in the secrets. When God created the world, okay, it was a process. Anything that is next to God doesn't exist. Meaning it doesn't have its own existence. Because everything is from God. That means if you put anything, if you put the Torah next to God, it doesn't exist. You put a person next to God, he doesn't exist. Why? Because everything is part of God. So there's no individuality. So where does the individual exist? So in order for the individual to exist, God had to make a certain barrier. He had to separate himself, kind of, from the physical world and make it seem as if he wasn't here. In order to do that, he had to give us, the first thing was to give us a relationship of a slave. Why? What does a slave have to do with clearing out barriers? Because we said that in order to have free will, you have to have choices. You have to be able to make choices on your own. Can't be forced. Okay? But in order for you to have choices, you have to have a mind. You have to be able to rationalize thinking, right? But if you don't control your mind, if you're not in control of your mind, so you become a slave to your mind. You become just whatever it tells you to do, you're going to go do. So we said that a person has two nishamot, right? Two sides. He has what's called a nefesh behamit, an animalistic soul, right? Which is the autopilot program, right? Which says eat, drink, sleep, work, earn money, da. It is composed of a desire for personal gain. It's composed of a desire for money, honor. It's composed of all these things. Then he has another side, and when he feeds this side with intellect, he learns Torah. He's feeding his neshama side. He's giving it an ideas, so he's able to make a rational choice, right? So if you didn't know that, let's see, what would be a good example? If you didn't know that on the other side of your house, let's say, is a river full of gold. You didn't know that there was a river full of gold. All your life, you've been working to save money, and you didn't know that in the back of your house, actually, underneath the ground, is a river full of gold. Okay? So, the entire time that the person was working, actually, he was working for nothing. Because if he would have opened the blueprints of his house, then he would have seen that, oh, underneath there's a river full of gold. Let's say he had a blueprint, but he didn't open this knowledge. So if he doesn't open the knowledge, so he's limited to what? He's limited to whatever knowledge he has. You can't take a first grader and put him into rocket science class. Why? Because he's not equipped with that knowledge. Same thing with us. When we're not equipped with the knowledge, we can't make a free choice.
But that kid, I heard he was pretty good though.
Okay.
I sent him an email about some kid that came. He was born already.
Yeah. Again, a soul has knowledge. A soul is full of knowledge. A soul knows all the Torah. It's no problem because the soul is part of God.
Yeah.
But when the soul is inside your body, okay, sleep. When the soul is inside your body, it doesn't reveal its Torah. So part of you is running on the autopilot. Until what? Until you're able to reveal the knowledge of the soul. When you're revealing the knowledge of the soul, what are you doing? You're able to make a free choice. So God says, if you want to come to me like slaves, come to me like slaves. What is a slave? It means that we didn't open up our knowledge enough to make a free choice. So what were we? We were a slave. We were living like a slave. Or option number 2 is if you open the Gemara and you open the Halakha and you were able to connect to God on an intellectual level, not just on a physical level. Physical level. When I say physical level, I mean you just did a mitzvah. Hazaku baruch. You did a mitzvah. You put on tefillin, you put on talit. Clocked in, clocked out. But it had no hashpa'ah. It had no
spacing out. No merit.
Well, no. It had no influence. It didn't influence your heart. It didn't influence your mind. It didn't influence who you are. If you ask the person on the street, why do you put on talit? Why? What do you put on talit?